Hey, y'all, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. see here. What up, B the Great B? What's happening, player? You're tuned in to the Iceman Show. I am your faithful host, the Iceman. More bounce to the ounce, and I say what counts. Don't nobody go home, and I mean nobody go home till the fat man gets it in. What's happening, chocolate people? What's crack-a-lacking? Try to get all up in your eardrum on a Tuesday evening. Decided to give you a weekly installment of the Iceman Show podcast. You know how we do it. We keeps it crack-a-lacking. You digs. Got a little trap for you. Keeps it low for you. You know how we do. Glad to have y'all joining me, the Iceman, for another episode of the Iceman Podcast, better known as the Iceman Show Podcast. You know how we do it. On Saturdays, we have the Player Circle Podcast. Last Saturday, the topic for the show was, how would you know if your woman's vagina was being tampered with? Oh, that was a very interesting show. Very, very interesting. And by the way, my YouTube listeners, those of you who donated last week, I'm doing a part 2 of that show to follow up on what we did Saturday. I'll probably get that done this week. And then what I'll do is I'm going to post that to private. And all of you who donated last Saturday, I will be sending you the link to that video. So those of you who donated last Saturday, Friday or Saturday, or you will receive a link in your email. So make sure you're on the lookout for that particular email from the Iceman Show at yahoo.com email. By the way, if you want to get on my email list, if you guys want to get on my email list, here's this is official Iceman Show podcast email. I want you to take that email me back, so I'll have your email address. And then what I will do is put you on my mailing list. And so whenever I send out emails concerning any business that we're conducting, that way you have my email address already. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. All right. So if you don't have my email address, that's it right there. All right. If you're not on my email, if you know you're not on my email list, I want you to take this email address and email me back and give me a working email address, and then that way I can email you. You'll be on my email list, and you'll be in the know on what's cracking over this way. You digs? We got, by the way, this is $5 donation. This is $5 donation Tuesday. So please donate. We're only asking for $5. I fundraised from January to August for the backpack and clothing drive for the 2019 fall school year. I fundraised from January to August. So we do that, and then you can and then from August to about the second week of December, we fundraise for the Christmas drive or holiday drive for for inner city kids who don't have money for money for clothing and toys. I usually specify not toys, but for clothes, because a lot of kids, you know, what good is a kid having toys and they ain't got no clothes? You digs? So that's why we do that. Anyway, if you're interested in donating, that's where the money goes. Anyway, that's what we do. That's what's cracking. Anyway, political parties, you know, there's a lot of going back and forth, as you will, you know, if you will see on C-SPAN and CNN and MSNBC. There's a lot of nonsense going on that is political theater, and it is of no substance. And a lot of us get caught up in a lot of these political shenanigans rather than really pay attention, really trying to focus on what's really going on. And that is running game on every one of us, especially Black folks. The hustle and the game playing and the political hustles that are being run on a daily basis, in my opinion, is unimaginable. And we get so many of our people who get caught up in the political gamesmanship of both of these parties. And they're not saying anything that's helping us. They're not helping us understand the Democratic Party. They're not helping us understand the Republican Party. They're not doing any of that. We have no more understanding of the two-party system today than we did 50 years ago. Would you agree? And our lack of understanding, as well as our political naivety, is contributing to us being hustled with every election. I'll give you an example. And let me say this before I go into into this next diatribe. Let me say this. If you don't understand the political process, because we have a habit of voting the way our parents voted. If our parents were Republicans, we're going to, 9 times out of 10, we're going to be Republican voters as well. If our parents were Democrats, like my parents were Democrats, then the first half of my adult life, I was a Democrat. I'm neither a Democrat or a Republican at this point. I consider myself to be independent. I have no allegiance to either party. Okay? And the reason why is because I have done extensive political research, and the outcome for me is abandon the Democratic Party. Now, I know the first thing you're going to say is abandon the Democratic Party for whom? Or for what other party? Well, for most Black folk, the first thing you're going to say is, oh, he must be a Republican. I'm not. I'm not. Just like I'm not a Democrat. See, most black folks, especially if you grew up in the church and your parents voted democratically, you don't know how to think outside those boxes. Just like I've done extensive live streams on religion and why I no longer consider myself to be a Christian. Then I have individuals say, oh, you must be in the Nation of Islam then. No, I'm not. We got to stop thinking that if you're black and you're not a Democrat, then you must be a Republican. Why can't I just be none of them? Why can't I just be none of the above? I meet black folks who are atheists. I don't jump on them. Well, you ought to be a Christian. Well, you ought to be a Muslim. I don't say any of that. I just say, hey, brother, hey, sister, cool. All right. Hey, because I guarantee once we start talking, there will be common ground on something, whether it's sports, whether it's grilling meat, cooking, whatever. We're going to have a lot of other things to talk about other than politics. Now, in Chicago, there is I guess a black woman won the mayorship of the mayoral race of Chicago, and black folks are singing in the streets and, and bringing in the sheaves and everything else, acting like this is going to be a new political day. And they also mentioned that this woman is LGBT. And I was saying to myself, and they keep playing up, well, she's LBGT. And I have to ask, and the one thing that I for a long time, I never said anything. I never stated my views on the LGBT community because I don't travel in those circles. So I don't have a dog in that fight. But the LGBT lifestyle is being forced down the throats of black folks in America, as well as around the world. And you have to understand why. I'm not going to get into why. I'm not going to get into why because you won't understand. If this is the first couple of times you've listened to me, you're not going to get it. And you're going to get angry. And instead of listening to the message, you're going to start getting mad at the messenger. Then I start getting comments in the chat room of who you think you are. And, you ain't all that. And I'm just like, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? See, when people start making personal attacks, which, by the way, I ignore anyway, that means you're just trolling. And you don't have and you have nothing to say, and you have nothing to contribute. Because I encourage people to post on both platforms, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook Live. I would love to have you chime in, even if you don't agree with me. This is not a dictatorship. I've had plenty of people email me and say, hey man, I don't agree with a lot of stuff you be saying, but I respect your opinion. And I'm like, hey, same to you, bro. I respect your opinion. Well, we don't have to agree, but I respect you. You said you respect me. Let's move forward. Don't mean we can't holler. You understand what I'm saying to you? But they keep playing up the fact that this woman is LGBT. And guys, that lifestyle don't come from us. That lifestyle doesn't come from us. When you get a chance, go on YouTube and look up a movie called An Open Secret. And if you have time, look at it because it will blow your mind. Okay? But they keep trying to promote this LGBT. If there's a black man or a black woman who happens to be LGBT and they're in politics or they're a celebrity, entertainer, or athlete, it just, you know, they have to just throw it all in our faces. And we have to start understanding where that's coming from and why they are doing that. And it is detrimental to our economic, political, and social interests. Because that's not the people like David Geffen and these other folks who are big baller LGBT folks. These people have right-wing leanings, even though they may vote Democrat and support Democratic candidates out there in California on the West Coast. But their behaviors and some of the things that they do behind the scenes is right-wing. And some would put their behavior in the same classification as people who are at Trump rallies. See, you don't know any of this stuff because you don't pay any, you don't get your news, and I do mean news in quotes. You don't get your news. I mean, when you get your news from CNN and MSNBC, who pumps that propaganda into your ears and into your eyes better than anybody else does. So in your mind, you think you getting the scoop, and you're not. You have to ask yourself, why is dead black men, why are dead LGBT black men ending up in the home of Ed Buck, who is a Democratic donor in LA? And anybody who's involved in the political scene in LA knows about Ed Buck. And this man has never been indicted or prosecuted for either one of those dead black men ending up in his house. Talking about they overdosed on meth or other drugs, heroin, just all kind of stuff. Well, how'd they get it in their system? But when you donate money to the district attorney who's running for district attorney, or the incumbent or the mayor, that buys you, that creates a free pass for you. You won't be prosecuted for two reasons. You're Caucasian and you're a donor. And that's another thing. And I'm gonna get in the whole political action committees, donations, these $5,000 a plate dinners. So black folks, we got to get a full understanding of the whole picture, not just this much of the picture or this much of the pie, and that's it. The pie is the pie is this big, and you only getting a slice of what they of what they want to tell you. These political parties have been playing good cop, bad cop for years. The Democrats play the good cop. Oh, look at us. Oh, we love black people. Oh, we love LGBT. Oh, we're inclusive. And at the end of the day, when you go out here and vote for these candidates, all you end up getting is nothing. Everybody else gets something, you get nothing. The LGBT community gets gay marriage and all this other stuff for themselves. You get nothing. Yet you vote more than, yet black folks decide elections. Yet they treat us like, they don't even treat us like stepchildren. They treat us like pariahs. And because we have gotten so used to being disrespected and spat on and defecated on, we accept this. We accept being disrespected. You have candidates from the municipal level all the way up to the federal level who come around every year, every 2 years, every 4 years, talking about, hey, black folks. Hey, how y'all doing? Let me do the dab. Let me do this. Let me sing Al Green songs. That's what we get. We get innuendo and poor renditions of Al Green songs. And I think a lot of black folks, the tide is turning. The tide is turning, especially amongst black. I'm going to tell you right now, black men under 40, Democratic Party, you might as well stop even trying to get them brothers because they are done. Black men under 40 ain't voting, and it's your fault. Democratic Party, are you listening? Good cop, it's your fault these young brothers ain't voting. See, black men, I'm in my mid-50s. See, black men my age and older, they vote out of fear. Well, I ain't gonna vote for no Republican. And because my grandmama got beat on the way to the voting booth, you know, I should vote anyway. Let me tell you something. You better off not voting than voting for a Democratic candidate. Look at Kamala Harris. She is, as far as black voters are concerned, she knows she's done. She's done. You might as well stick a fork in her because she's done. She's done. She's going to insult us talking about she listened to Cardi B. Then she further insulted us in Tribe Called, in the rap group Tribe Called Quest by sitting up here talking about, well, you know, I listen to Tribe Called Quest. Ain't that right, Fife? Fife been dead 2 or 3 years now. So it's clear she don't listen to Tribe Called Quest. Then she gonna sit up there and say she listened to Tupac and Snoop Dogg back in the 80s and while smoking weed. Do you realize how disrespectful that is? There's people looking at this live stream right now that don't smoke weed, don't even drink. And this woman's going to sit here and insinuate that all of us smoke weed, listen to Snoop Dogg and Tupac. Some of you who are listening to me right now probably don't listen to Tupac or Snoop. So that's an insult. And it's also a historical insult because Snoop and Tupac weren't rapping during that time she was in law school in the 80s. So so her whole approach to dealing with black people was so disingenuous and insulting on so many levels. And even if you don't vote, you were probably insulted. Doing that horrible dancing. Oh, that really wasn't even dancing. It looked like she was having a convulsion. She looked like she was having an epileptic fit. That wasn't dancing. I seen white girls with no rhythm dance better than that. Then here they come marching out Bernie Colonel Sanders. This dude looked like he's 100 years old. And a lot of black folks give this guy a pass because he's old and Jewish. Let me just say this here, man. And this is not an insult to anybody who is of the Jewish faith. Because I went to high school with Jewish kids. And I never had a problem with, they never had a problem with me, and I never had a problem with them. Most of them were cool. It was the Anglo kids who were trying to get it started or get it popping. And you know how those of you who I went to high school with, who are in this or who are who are listening to this live stream, you know, I might not have been one of those brothers, but some of y'all used to get it in. Okay? Because as soon as that N-word came out, I remember some of y'all used to go upside them heads. Some of y'all went oops upside the head, and I ain't talking about the Gap Band either. You digs? A lot of people give Bernie Sanders a pass because of that. Oh, he can't be, you know, a racist because he's Jewish. You better get that out of your head, dog. Don't get twisted up on somebody's religion or somebody's ethnicity. Don't get it twisted, dog. Because let me tell you something about Bernie Colonel Sanders. Bernie Sanders has said some real low down stuff about black folks. I'm sick and tired of him talking about he marched with King. Dude, you didn't march with King. You might have been at a march, but you weren't standing next to King. So let's stop saying that, dude. Then to further be disrespectful, he says, and pretty much, and I'm paraphrasing what he said because I'm paraphrasing several of his comments. He said, you know, what'd he say? He said, reparations for ADOS blacks is not feasible. That was his exact words in one of his statements, one of his interviews. He said, tangible reparations, resources for ADOS blacks, all of us in this chat room, or all of us in the room here, looking at this live stream on both platforms. He said that tangible reparations was not feasible. Do you realize how disrespectful that is? Do you know that the American government indirectly is still paying reparations for the Holocaust? Did you know that? What about the Black Holocaust? Huh? What about all the millions of African people who lost their lives to get us to the point where we are today? And we gonna sit up here and be living on our knees, talking about I'm a Democrat and I'm gonna vote for anybody they stick in front of me. Now, Bernie Sanders is a U.S. senator from Vermont. He's an independent. He says that tangible reparations in the form of resources, whether it be land allocation, capital, scholarships, he said that's not feasible. But yet, these two wars, now they say that Iraq legally is no longer in effect, but we still are running operations. We still have about 3,000 to 5,000, probably even more of troops on the ground in Iraq, as well as we have aircraft carriers and destroyers off the coast, off the Persian Gulf coast, and we have F-18s, F-14s still flying around and doing reconnaissance in the area. Now, they could be pulling double duty flying over, and we're also in Syria, which is costing millions of dollars. All told, between the Iraq war and the Afghanistan war, which is still going on today, they have spent over $6 trillion. But Bernie Colonel Sanders is telling you that reparations for ADOS blacks is not feasible. Yet they have spent $6 trillion that the United States government does not have. And the only people who have gotten rich have been the defense contractors. Now I'm going to let that marinate for a second. Let that marinate for a second, people. $6 trillion that they don't have. They sitting up here talking about, oh, we got our federal deficit is $23 trillion. Yet they keep spending money on Afghanistan war. For what? They still spending millions of dollars in Iraq. For what? What are they over there doing? Buying shoes? And we're spending millions of dollars over there in Syria, which is no more than a proxy war. And the last frontier is the continent of Africa, and they're on the continent of Africa trying to play like there's some, we're trying to go after Coney. We going after Coney. Remember that Coney 2012? Remember that? So they can set things up for them to go over there to Africa and go over there killing our people so they can steal them natural resources. And our so-called black leadership, I mean, we really don't have any black leadership as far as I'm concerned. But if they want to consider themselves as leaders, okay. They ain't telling nobody the truth of what they're really doing over there in Africa right now. So the Republicans are the bad cop. The Democrats, whenever they're in front of a camera, they're like, yeah, the Republicans are bad. They hate black people. They just want to lock black men in prison. They just want to, they just want to, pump drugs in the black community. They just want, look how bad they are. They support cops killing black people. Oh, they're just bad people. But we Democrats, we're the good cop. We're the good cop. We love black people. See, we love everybody. You listen to phonies like Bill Maher. Listen to these phony Democrats. If you listen to these phony white Democrats, they start sounding like Republicans if you listen to them long enough. The Democrats are the good cop. The Republicans are the bad cop. But you know what? They're all part of the same police department. Can you dig it? You got the left wing Democrat. You got the right wing Republican. But both wings are on the same bird. Can you dig it? Let that marinate. Let that marinate. Had a brother say something to me not too long ago. He said, "Hey man, do you think it's proper for black men to continue to sit here and let them kill us? Let these race soldiers posing as police officers kill us? Let these white citizens just kill us, kill our children?" They're sending you a message. They're sending us a message. Right now, we have black men who are just as weak and powerless as black men were back 50, 60 years ago. I remember one time I was talking to an older black man. This was probably back in the 80s, might have even been the 70s. And this older black man, he was already like 70, 80 years old already. So he had to be born around the turn of the probably like around 1900 or something like that. He said to me, he said, "You know what, young man?" He said, them white guys, you know what they used to do? They would go get drunk and then just show up at a brother's house. And they just come in and say, "Hey, we gonna have time with your wife." And he said what his daddy would have to do is go out there in the field somewhere and walk around till they turn the lantern on the porch, which meant they were done raping his wife. How many of you black men would actually do something if one of these race soldiers posing as cops or one of these white citizens showed up at your front door right now? What would you do? What would you do? What would you do? What would stop you? What would stop them? Well, excuse me. Excuse me. What would stop them? What would stop them from raping your wife? What would stop them? Huh? You ain't gonna do nothing? Do you really think you can vote your way out of a problem like this? I keep telling black folks all the time, we can't vote our way out of a powerless situation. We are in a powerless situation. Real talk. Now you get mad again. You can get mad at me, or you can listen, get mad at the mess about the message, and then go do something about it. See, there's a lot of factors that are at play when it comes to politics. See, when you look at the Black community, we really don't even have a community. We have neighborhoods. We don't have a community, because a community is something you control and you own. Everybody else owns their communities. We don't. When you go to a Black neighborhood, no matter whether it's in Liberty City, Miami, or Brooklyn, New York, or South and West Side Chicago, South Central LA, no matter where you go around this country, when you go to a Black neighborhood, you see the same old nonsense. Koreans and other Asians owning all the stores, or East Indians owning all the stores. You don't own anything. You don't own the banks. You don't own anything. And even when you do own the bank, even when there is a Black-owned bank in your neighborhood, 80% of their commercial and private loans are they offer credit to white-owned businesses and individuals. 80%, but they'll take your depositor money and better get and use that as collateral on those personal and commercial loans. That's why after a while, when I moved out of the South Central, I took my money out of them Black banks, because when I did my research and I found out they do absolutely nothing for our people, I was like, you ain't going to be using my money to provide Charlie and them with loans. Do your research. It's probably higher than 80% now, because when I got this information, it was back in the mid-90s. That was 20 some years ago. See how we get duped? Those of you who are from South Central LA, them Koreans over there in Koreatown make over $1 billion a year off of you. Yet they will not spend any money with Black-owned businesses. That makes sense? Do you really think voting will fix that? It's not. 99% of you don't support Black-owned businesses. And I'm not just talking about soul food restaurants, because those are not the only Black-owned businesses. We're not just talking about restaurants. We're not just talking about beauty salons. There are Black CPAs. There are Black attorneys. There are other Black professionals in the Black neighborhood. Maybe they need to market themselves better. But even if they did, a lot of you will sit here and say, I'm not doing business with him. I'm not doing business with her, because they look just like I do. And according to white mommy and white daddy, I'm not supposed to support Black-owned businesses. So 97% of your money goes outside. To whom? Charlie and his woman, AKA Hunky McGee. Dr. Claude Edison said, you know why white folks in America live so good, especially the ones who are upper class and ruling class? You know why they live so good? Because they live off 100% of their money and 97% of yours. You give them $1 billion of your money every year, especially between Black Friday and Christmas. That's when you really pad their pockets. And they're taking your money and they're buying 100-foot yachts. They're sailing over to Monaco, having a good old time. While you sitting over here working 2 jobs just so Black Friday you can go out there and wrestle with them Mexicans and them other po-ass stinking folks at Walmart trying to buy 3 30-inch Emerson TVs that your family don't need. Or PlayStations for your dirty kids who ain't doing nothing in school. And on top of that, you give them $2 trillion in credit. You spend that. So you see how these other folks live. That's why every time, that's why when these Chinese people come over here and these people from Korea come over here, what do? They set up shop in our neighborhoods. Why? Because it's free money. It's free money. You can slap black women. You can body slam black women. You can thump black women upside the head and they'll still keep coming in here. They'll still buy food out of here. They'll still get their nails done. They'll still get fake eyelashes that look like they got roach legs on their eyelashes. They'll still come in here and buy that yak hair. And we can still pop them upside the head. You can't vote your way out of that, brothers and sisters. Tell me I'm wrong. Can you vote your way out of that? You know the answer to that. I don't even have to tell you the answer to that. Do you really think voting Democrat or Republican is going to fix that? See, when they talk about black folks being disenfranchised, yeah, originally we have been disenfranchised by these colonizers. But we keep reestablishing that disenfranchisement by wasting every dollar we get on dumb stuff. Or if we do spend money on stuff that we need to have, we go over there in their neighborhood, spend all our money because their ice is colder than ours, right? And all we're doing, because a lot of black people don't believe this, when you do that kind of stuff and you don't protect your own, because whenever they start attacking your women and your children, we're well beyond being disrespected. We're well beyond being disenfranchised. We're way past that, people. They're going after soft targets. When they thump your women in the head like that, when they go and shoot your children like they did Laquan McDonald and all these other brothers and sisters who have been murdered, that's brazen. That's bold and brazen. We're way past being disrespected. And Nancy Pelosi, AKA Nasty Pelosi, ain't gonna do nothing to help you. Because when it's all said and done, all this Me Too and Time's Up and all this other foolishness that you see going on out here is an indirect attack on black men. That's the target. That's the prize. If you want to see a head on the stake, It's the black man's head they want to have on there. And you can't vote your way out of that. And if you sit there and let these people hustle you every year, every 2 years, every 4 years, every time there's an election, here they come around trying to hustle you. Now, the Republicans don't waste their time because they don't need our votes to put their people in place. But the Democrats, they require, it's required that we support them with our votes. And thank God, black men, especially black men under 40, are showing, they've already been showing in these last couple of elections with the fact that a lot of black men didn't even bother to vote in 2016. Well, we wasn't voting for Hillary Clinton, but yet 98% of black women voted for Hillary Clinton. No. Imagine that. And black men, I'm going to say this, I ain't trying to be disrespectful to black men, to black women or black men, but black men, let me just say something to you. Let me holler at you for a second. These black women ain't on your team. Let me say that again. You might have an enemy sleeping in your bed like I had. Okay? Thank God I got rid of them. I don't allow an enemy to sleep in my bed. Black men, I'm just going to say this. Most of these black women are not on your team. They're on Team Charlie. And they vote as such. 18% of black women in the state of Florida voted for DeSantis. Not the brother. Okay? 18%. You got black women running around here talking about the Democratic Party is finally giving us a seat at the table. Yeah, but they ain't gonna never serve you. What good is you getting a seat at the table and they don't never serve you? And even worse, they sit up here you got these black women talking about, well, we got a seat at the Democratic Party we got a seat at the table. No, you don't. You ain't got a seat at the table, fool. You are the table. They got you like this. You are the table. And they eating off of you. Dummy. You give them your money and you give them your votes for nothing in return. And that's why I say tangible reparations 2020 and hashtag cut the check. Every time Bernie Sanders say that reparations for ADOS blacks is not feasible, you give him that hashtag. Cut the check, Bernie. If you can spend $6 trillion and counting on 2 illegal wars, then you can cut us a check. And don't sit up here and be talking that, well, we'll give you some college scholarships. No, college degrees are not even worth it these days. You got people graduating from college and they can't even find a job, or they find one and they can't even pay their loans. Most of the 50 states in this country don't provide very much money in the way of Pell Grants. So your children and my children have to do what? Take out student loans. Unsubsidized and subsidized? Or they got to go to a bank, rip-off bank like Comerica and borrow from them. And boy, Comerica gonna get their money. Go Comerica. The university. The education. The Department of Education. They gonna come after you for that money. But boy, them banks, boy, you borrow money from one of them banks, not only are they gonna come after you for their money, you might be sitting on the toilet, and they might come up through the toilet like, where my money at? Okay, where that money at, dog? You ain't gonna get any peace. The day of the weak black man who just sits around and let everybody push him around is over. Those days are over with. And let me just say something. You know, those of you who are hip hop fans, you probably know about my man Nipsey. They got murdered in broad daylight. What he was practicing was straight up blackonomics, what I call blackonomics. Invest in your people in in the hardest hit area. See, when you listen to all these fake black leaders sit here and tell you about, hey, first of all, you know, for you to even call yourself a black leader is disrespectful, because you ain't leading nobody. But you got these guys sit up and say, well, we're having a convention, and you know, we're having a convention, and we're gonna have all the Democratic candidates come by and speak. What is that doing for the neighborhood? What is that doing for them single moms down there that can't find no jobs? Huh? What does that do to the young brothers who can't find jobs? What does it do for even brothers my age who don't have a car, who need a job? Huh? What does that do for them? That sound like black leadership to you? The unemployment rate for black men in the black community is somewhere around 60-something%. And for black women, it's in the mid-40s, 40%. And for black teenagers, it's something like 70%. The jobs that they had, like the CETA program, the fast food restaurants, it wasn't nothing but black people working, young black people working at McDonald's and Burger King when I was a kid. They didn't have all the Pedro and Sancho and them working up in there. You got 60-year-old immigrants working in Burger King and Wendy's. So when your son, your 16-year-old son, you trying to get him to be responsible, be like, hey, you want Jordans, you gonna buy them yourself. Okay, mom, I want to get a job. Okay, get a job. Then he go to all the Burger Kings and Taco Bell and Sancho and Maria and all them working there. But this brother was practicing the right kind of black group economics. And somebody didn't like it. But like they say, you can kill the man or the woman, but you can't kill the legacy. You can't kill his legacy. You ain't gonna kill Nipsey's legacy. He might not be here with us physically, but his legacy will live on. Just like Dr. King's legacy, it has continued to live on. Medgar Evers, his legacy continues to live on. Aretha Franklin might not be with us no more, but her legacy lives on. The dominant society, aka the status quo, they do not like it when there are black men and black women who are independent business owners who ain't connected to the establishment, and they handle their own business with their own money. They don't like that. They do not like that. You digs? Asians are the one group of people in this country who vote the least, but their economic game is on fleek. You don't need to vote for anybody when your money is right, when you own property, when you own land, when you control millions of dollars in commercial taxes. You ain't got to vote for nobody. So when people come to me and say, hey, man, what do you think about this? What do you think about Trump? What do you think about this? What do you think about this candidate? All of them are a bunch of phonies. Well, what about Beto O'Rourke? He's a phony. He's another one of these white phonies who gets up there in front of black folks. All he mentions Dr. King. All he mentions this. He mentions that. He mentions the civil rights movement. Don't answer any questions directly. He's another phony. He is another phony. He's another feel-good phony. Julian Castro, he's another phony. He didn't even know the difference between communism and socialism. Look at Bill Maher's show from last Friday. How you gonna be running for president and you don't know the difference between communism and socialism? He didn't even know. Now, he happens to be Mexican-American. Do you really think he's going to do something for black people? Huh? As much crap as a lot of these Mexicans talk to black folks and about black folks calling us mayatas and N-word this and N-word that. And you really think if he ain't going, I mean, he wouldn't make it that far anyway, but let's just say hypothetically he did. Do you really think he's going to do something for you? If you think we got too many illegal immigrants in this country right now, oh, the floodgates will really be open if he was president. It'd be open season on killing black people in this country if one of them got in the White House. Because they're going to be worse. You think Donald Trump is the devil. You go over there to TJ and Veracruz and some of them areas around there in Mexico and see how they live. They live like animals. And they bring that lifestyle over that Rio Grande with them. There ain't no black and brown alliance. If there is, it's one-sided. Amy Klobuchar, from my state of Minnesota, she's another do-nothing Democrat too. I've dealt with her office on some stuff, and let me tell you something: she wouldn't do anything for you either. Now, just like I told y'all in the last live stream, the Democratic ticket in 2020 is going to be Biden and Beto O'Rourke. I hope the bookmakers in Vegas go ahead and put that on, go ahead and put that marker up so I can bet on it. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, like I told y'all last time, I'm willing to put a G up. I'm willing to put a stack up. The ticket will be Biden O'Rourke for 2020 for the Democratic Party against Trump. And guess what? They're going to lose. Because as Trump has proven when he ran against Hillary Clinton. It's not about right or wrong. It's not about good or evil. It's about beating the opposition into submission, which is what he did to a seasoned professional politician. Now, I know what some of y'all gonna say. Hillary Clinton, she got more of the popular vote. Well, that's why they call it the popular vote, because that's all it is, popular. The Electoral College is what counts. That's the real deal, Holyfield. That's the real deal, Holyfield. Don't get it twisted, player. The Electoral College is controlled by older Caucasian males, and that will never change. And all those battleground states like Florida, what is it? Florida, y'all help me out. Pennsylvania and a couple other states. Wisconsin, they're all going to be red. No matter what Trump does, no matter what he says, no matter how many women he grabs by the you-know-what, he's going to win. It's just like my man, comedian D.L. Hughley said, President Obama is what we aspire to be, but President Trump is who we are. And a lot of y'all don't get that. You'll never understand that. So no matter how much you vote, no matter how much you waste your time standing in 90 and 100-degree heat, 4 or 5 hours trying to vote, you're wasting your time. Because again, when it comes, look, presidents are selected, not elected. Let me say that again. Presidents are selected, not elected. Okay? The person who ends up in the White House is who they want in there. That unseen hand that stays back here. Okay? Last time it was Obama, and he did their bidding for him. 8 years that man was in office, and he did absolutely nothing for black people. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, he wasn't just black people president. He was everybody president. Yet, he ain't all the LGBT people's president. But yet, they got gay marriage, they got homo marriage, and they got other little goodies for the LGBT. They got federal, now, you know, if they're a federal employee, they can get they can pass their benefits on or whatever it is as a federal employee onto their spouse. They used to be, before Obama, they couldn't do that. Does that sound like he did? Black folks, come on, man. Come on, stop being naive. You couldn't do that before Obama got in there. You can get married. If you're a homosexual, you can get married in any state in this country, including Alaska, because of Obama. Now, he might not have been directly instrumental in getting LGBT marriage to the Supreme Court and ultimately getting it decided in their favor. But the LGBT community raised millions of dollars to fund that stuff. Plus, they gave Obama money. So if he was everybody's president, then how can the LGBT community got everything they wanted during the 8 years that Obama was in the White House? You mean to tell me you voted for him twice? Some of y'all voted for Obama twice, and you still didn't get nothing. We didn't get anything from him. We had Flint pop off. We had, I don't know how many police shootings of black men and women. We had more black people killed by police under Obama's tenure in the White House than any other president. We had Detroit go bankrupt, yet they still sending Israel $3 billion a month. But yet Obama was everybody's president. And you sitting up here justifying not getting anything from him. But oh boy, millions of black men sat on their butt doing that Hillary Clinton Trump election in 2016. And while it might not have made that much difference as far as the popular vote is concerned, it sent a message. But they still came around with all their shenanigans. We are not politically savvy at all. And those of you who are attacking ADOS blacks, talking about, you know, we ain't gonna get no reparations. How you know what we gonna get or not get? You ain't doing nothing to help us get anything. What are you doing? What are you doing besides being scared? But the Democratic Party is not doing nothing but hustling us. They do it day in and day out. Hustle, 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 and we get nothing. They demand our votes, but then in return, we get nothing. So this time around, we're gonna sit this out. We're gonna sit it out unless we get what we want. And let me tell you something. Don't listen to these Cobra clowns and all these other so-called black leaders that the Democratic Party, these Democratic shills that they put on MSNBC to come on Rachel Maddow's show and all these other little shows, or Reverend Al's show. Don't be fooled by all these do nothing so-called Democratic Party shills who have designated themselves as black leaders. You have to understand something, folks. The folks that you see that call themselves black leaders, all of these folks are on the take. They try to act like there's some type of buffer between us and the Democratic Party. Like, I'll give you an example. Roland Martin, Mr. Bedeep. He's a prime example. See, somebody like Roland Martin, he'll say, well, Democratic Party, I can help deliver some, the black vote, pay me X amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars and my consulting company and get me on MSM, get me back on CNN after I've been fired, get me on CNN so I can get on there and help get the black vote. See, what happened with Hillary was the demise of Roland Martin on cable television. Now he's on YouTube crying and whining. These people have no interest in helping the masses. They're just up there to pad their pockets. They're just up there to pad their pockets. Every last one of them. If you see a black person on MSNBC and CNN, you can best believe they're compromised. They wouldn't be there if they weren't vetted ahead of time. And they're doing white daddy and white mommy's work for them. They are what they call a proxy. They're doing their dirt for them so that white daddy and white mommy can hide their hand. You digs? Hey guys, let's get these donations up. You guys can hit me on the Cash App, or you can go to asktheiceman.com and donate there. Just scroll down to the donate button. This is $5 donate. We're just asking for $5. We ain't asking you to, to give your lunch money. We just saying $5. Donate $5. You digs? And your donations are to my 501c3 nonprofit. So you can print out your paperwork on PayPal or on the Cash App and take that to your tax professional so you can get your deduction. All right, y'all, let's get it cracking. All right. Let's go ahead and get that crack. If follow me on Twitter at The Iceman Show, or you can follow me on Instagram at The Iceman Show. I had a couple people send me an email and say, hey man, do you have a presence on Instagram and Twitter? And I'm like, yes. Y'all see my Facebook post of this John Gray, this reverend, this celebrity reverend. He wearing $4,000 Yeezys. You riding the bus to church, and he walking around on stage wearing $4,000 Yeezys. See, that's why I don't go to church no more, man. Because Christianity ain't nothing but a hustle. I'm going to take a break. Those of you, if you haven't donated yet, go ahead and donate. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance to do that. I'm going to take a quick break, a couple of minutes. I'll be back in 2 and 2. Keep it locked right here on the Iceman Show podcast. I'm your host, the Iceman. Be back. Well, all right, you squares, it's time to funk. It'll make you dance some of everything. You digs. All right, y'all, back in the house. I'd like to thank everybody who's donated tonight. Appreciate it, Ty Cromwell. let me say something to my YouTube folks. Let me say something to y'all real quick. And this is not to the people that, you know, B the Great B, Ty Cromwell, Monstar 86, Triple T Kill. I'm not talking to y'all. Okay. By the way, all the guys I just mentioned, I'm not sure if all of you guys were in the house on the I do the by the way, those of you who don't know, I do another podcast called the Players Circle Podcast. We do that every Saturday, and we don't talk about politics and social issues on that show. We only talk about dating and relationships on that show. Last Saturday, I did a show called How Would You Know Your Woman's Vagina Wasn't Being Tampered With? Now, that's a series that I used to do before I started doing the Iceman Show podcast. This was like 8-9 years ago. And I did like a 5 or 6 part series on this. And it was mainly comedy, but it was still, you know, those of you who've been listening to me since 2010, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of cats have been supporting the show. And like I tell black folks all the time, nothing is free. Okay? The information is free. My time ain't. Okay? And we have to get out of the mindset that when you deal with somebody of another race, you don't mind whipping out your wallet and your pocketbook and spending money with them. But when it comes to your people, you want to start talking that, hey man, why black put why hey man you getting over on our people, man. But you don't say that to Charlie and them. You don't say that to white mommy and white daddy when they take your money and don't give you nothing. That's why when I go to restaurants and I order food and the food is lousy, you know what I say to the manager when I go back over there to return the food? You should know better. Because every time you let a plate of food, a carton of food leave this restaurant and it's garbage, that is a reflection on you. So if you sit here and you give people lousy food, you're in the professional food preparation business. When people go spend money outside their homes to buy food, they can eat at home. But they come to the professionals to get something they can't get at home. And when the food you serve them is lousier than the food their children get when they get free lunches, get that institutional lunch at public school, then you don't deserve my money. So my message to you is when you sit here and say that things are, it's what I do and what other brothers and sisters do that are in a position that we are in, when we do research and we do work preparation before we do these live streams, so we can give you up to the minute information that is true and not the lies you're going to get on CNN and MSNBC. The least you can do is donate $5, dog. So I have no problem asking you for donations. And I'm going to say this to all of you guys who just stopped donating. Shame on you. Shame on you. And some of y'all are fellow veterans. Shame on you. You'll keep going over there to Church's Chicken, buying they lousy, nasty chicken. But you won't support Black-owned businesses longer than 2 or 3 weeks or months, because you don't see the value in supporting Black-owned businesses. Let me give you a quick civics lesson. Oh, before I get into that, because I got off on a tangent. If you donated last Saturday, I'm doing a part 2 of the how would you know your woman's vagina is being tampered with. I'm doing a part 2 to that, but I'm doing it. I'm gonna do that video, but I'm gonna set it to private. And if you donated last Saturday, if you donated your $10 last Saturday, you will receive the link to that part 2, because the part 2 is going to be funny as hell. You'll get the part 2. These other lames get nothing. So I'm going to go through all the Cash App donations, and I'm going to go through all of the PayPal donations. And if you didn't donate last week, then you will not get a link to that video. And I'm still thinking about going back to the monthly subscription format, because Black folks, you won't get it. I seriously, but let me just give you a quick civics lesson. At the bottom of every society is economics. Then there's politics on top of that. Then on top of politics, there's social order. Without the economics, you can't control the politics. And if you don't control the politics, which also controls the police departments, the fire departments, and all those folks, the folks that go out here and shoot around the country, where almost all white fire departments, even after they were called out there to put out a fire at a Black person's residence, they decided to turn around and go home, go back to the station. And people died because of it. So if you don't control, if you don't have an economic base, you can't tell the politicians what to do. And if you can't tell the politicians what to do, then you have no social order. At the top is social order. That's how you move about. You move about your community, your micro environment. That's why you see black children getting smoked by race soldiers posing as police officers. That's why you have brazen vigilante white citizens shooting and killing black women and men and children and calling the police so that they can come out and murder you for selling bottles of water. They're trying to get you killed. The reason why black people are disrespected is because we're stupid enough to waste our money out. We spend all our money outside our neighborhoods, and then we sit up there and whine to the government talking about give us some welfare, give us some Section 8. The Democrats, they make sure you get all the Section 8 you want. They make sure you get all the SNAP benefits you want. They make sure you get all the WIC you want. They make sure you get all of that good welfare. Which makes you dependent on them. I was looking at, I was on the treadmill today at the athletic club, and they on Fox News, they were talking about, how they were calling Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, they was calling them capitalism crybabies. And on the other hand, you got Republicans talking about the free markets, talking about free market. Talking about free market. And when they say when they talk about the free market, when they mention the free market, you know what they're talking about? They're talking about they're either talking about very little regulation, and when I'm talking about state and federal regulations, they're talking about little to no regulations at the state and federal level. That's part of that when they talk about free market. And also free market means we can outsource and take your job and send it over there to India or the Philippines or Mexico, or outsource or give H-1B visas to people from India because they don't want to pay you any money. A brother on my Facebook page had made a very interesting observation. He said that because they have been denying those H-1B visas for IT jobs, a lot of these jobs are opening up and are available if you have the right certifications. So if you need a job and you want to work in IT, then instead of playing games, go out there and get the right certifications and go and apply for these jobs, because Pradeep and them, they ain't coming over here. They going back to India. So everything Trump is doing ain't to your detriment. Him closing that, you know, you got these Central Americans and these Mexicans coming over here talking about we seeking asylum. Asylum seekers are for political people who are at political risk or because of their politics will be killed if they go back to their country. That's what that's for. That's what asylum is for. Not for people who say the gangs in my neighborhood are killing, they killed my husband, so I'm coming up here. No, you stay right where you are. Because black folks, when they come over here, they'll be over here calling you Mayate and the N-word. And their kids will be riding around here sagging and killing and shooting at your family. Over here in Phoenix last week, some little dirty ass one of them little nasty asses sat up here and followed a black family in Phoenix and followed them to their car, followed them to their home, and then shot the 10-year-old daughter. And yeah, the Phoenix police arrested this guy. And yeah, he's going to get charged with probably second-degree murder. But so what? He'll be in Maricopa County Jail with all his compadres. Canal. Riley Holmes. And when he goes to state prison, he'll be around all his canals. So it ain't no big deal to him to spend the rest of his life in prison. That's why I be telling black folks, why would you want more of these people coming over here so they can join the Nazi lowriders? Black people are stupid. Do y'all remember that video I did back in 2012? Nah, it wasn't 2012. It was because I did it when I was in the ATL. I did a video back in probably I think it was 2014. Remember I did that video called Is It Black People's Stupidity? Damn, what was the name of that video I did? Is it racism, or is it black people's stupidity? I got to do another one of them videos. Is it our stupidity? A lot of you guys send me emails saying, how come you don't do more videos, or how come you don't, how come you don't do this, or how come you don't do this? I had one guy ask me to do Blog Talk Radio, and then I'm sitting up there paying for that every month, and you guys ain't even calling in. You guys are too scared to call in. Then when I stop doing the show, then guys are like, hey, Ice, how come you ain't doing the show no more? Because you don't support it. You don't support it, dog. That's why I don't do it. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if I stop doing the Iceman Show podcast and I stop doing the Player Circle podcast on Saturdays. Okay? Don't be surprised, because I got other stuff I can be doing. I could be working on my second book. Okay? And if you haven't got my first book, The Game of Life According to the Iceman, Volume 1, you can get this at AskTheIceman.com. You can scroll down to the Add to Cart button and order it directly from me, or you can get this at Amazon.com. You get it on Amazon. This is my first book, but my second book is The Dating Bible. I'm writing that right now. I could be spending time doing that. Or writing more music. Okay? Instead of doing a live stream for you and you don't support the show. You're tuned into the Iceman Show podcast. I'm your host, the Iceman. If you donated last week, you will receive the link to the part 2 of last week's podcast. You will receive part 2 in your email box. Be on the lookout for it. Holla at your boy.